Hello everybody, this is Kraken's been Gaming, and today we will be starting up our new Kerbal Space Program series, and this time we will be making a career normal mode save using the Outer Planets mod. So some goals I hope to achieve with this is to explore the mod a bit. I only downloaded it like a few weeks ago, so I haven't really done much in the new system, so hopefully this will be a learning experience for me, and I hope that it will be challenging to get all the way there with only stock parts, and I also hope it will be challenging because like the stock parts are really not suited for this kind of exploration, really far out from Kerbin, so I want to see what solutions I can come up with. I hope I can eventually land on every planet and moon in this game that is possible to be landed on. So as you can see here, we are basically loading the game. So let's just wait for it to boot up, and then we can start a new save. In this episode, the first episode, I hope that we will be able to achieve orbit. Do our first contracts. So we would start game and start a new save. We will name this career because I don't have any good names really. I'd say normal mode is okay, but career mode, flag, all looks good. Let's go. So here's the KSC. Obviously I have never touched this save before, so let's get our first contracts. We can get the scientific data contract and the first vessel contract, so we can get some early money in science, and we're going to the VAB to launch our first vessel. So the first vessel will be pretty much everyone's first career vessel. We'll have a parachute, a Mark 1 command pod, and a flea solid field booster. Because those are only the basic parts, as well as 2 mystery goo containment units. Now, those parts up top in the science screen next to the mystery goo, right up here, these are Kerbal Engineer Redux parts. I'm never going to use them because I really feel like I should keep to the stock parts here. And all my rockets hopefully will be named after the Auks, an extinct flightless bird, so maybe that's not the best name, but let's pick staging, and let's go. So let's get this started. So you can see we've got Jeb. We're going to activate SAS, and we can first get a mystery goo reading from the launch pad. Keep that experiment. And then we can get a crew report from the launch pad. Keep that experiment. Get Jeb on EVA report. Then we take data and we store data. Then we board again. This means we could make another crew report, in case you didn't know that. So if we hit SAS once again and full throttle, even though I know solid rocket boosters don't really need that, and we hit launch, and as you can see, we quickly accelerate. The thrust to weight ratio of this rocket is exceptionally high. So now we can collect more science. Obviously won't be getting an EVA report from up here because that's kind of risky. We can get a crew report and another mystery goo sample. And now as we coast up to our apoapsis, we get ready to deploy the parachute. So let's go faster. Alright, so we're starting to fall now. Let's deploy the chute. And time warp all the way down. Now, these boosters, one parachute is usually enough for to land the entire booster back on Kerbin. So come down for parachutes opened. Let's turn on SAS right before we land, and we have touchdown. right next to the launch pad where we left off. So here we can get an EVA report if we don't already have it. We landed in the same biome, so that means we can't get any more of these science samples. So nothing more to do here. We must recover vessel. So because we never jettisoned any parts, we have 22.4 science. I'd say that's pretty good. We never jettisoned any parts except for the solid fuel, so we get most of the money back on that, and we get Jeb, who gets 1 XP, which is not bad at all if I do say so myself. So we can go to R&D now and buy ourselves some stuff with all this science we gained. So now we can go to mission control and get some of these easy. I never do any of these focused observational surveys. I feel like they're way too annoying. And let's get some easy contracts. We can test the booster at the launch site, which is pretty darn easy. We can do this too. Right now I can only have 2 contracts, so let's try not to let this episode drag on too long. So we probably want to upgrade the VAB, but we don't have enough money yet. We don't need to upgrade the launch pad yet. So if we enter the VAB, oh yeah, we can see that we got a ton of contracts and world record firsts. Okay, scientific data, scientific launch vessel, and a ton of world firsts. Very, very record breaking here. And we can design a second rocket. I shouldn't have done that. Let's do. Okay. So we don't need a heat shield yet. Let's just get a parachute and some science. We have unlocked the 2 thermometer. That's not bad. So if I attach that there and mystery goo, 2 mystery goo containment units on the sides. Let's actually attach 2 thermometers as well because we can. So name this Auks 2, not with a slash in front of that because that's not good. So we have the decoupler, we can unlock that, and some fuel tanks. Let's say about 5 liquid fuel tanks, and then a swivel liquid fuel engine at the very bottom. So because that's kind of large, I'm gonna use some minor part clipping here. Because I'm gonna attach 2 of these solid rocket boosters to the sides. I feel, yeah, this is not gonna be pretty. Also, I just realized I don't have radial decouplers yet, so this design's gonna have to wait. First, let's get a science pod up at the spaceplane hangar. So if you go to the spaceplane hangar, we get a small capsule, and we just stick some science on. We can test this thing. Hopefully not kill everyone. Yeah, we can test this thing. Add a parachute and some. Oh yeah, we need a decoupler too, so we can fulfill our contract and get some more of that sweet, sweet money. We can also grab some science so we can get some more and unlock our radial decouplers, which we'll need for our rocket flight. So I'll name this science pod because it's not actually a rocket really needed for. I'm not gonna name it after the Auks because we don't really. This rocket's not like official. I'll probably just delete it after I'm done. But save that. Let's give Val a chance now. We gotta evenly distribute this experience, right? So if we launch a science pod, we haven't taken anything from the runway yet. So obviously, first of all, can observe the mystery goo from the runway. Keep that science. Take a thermometer reading from the runway. Take a crew report from the runway. Get Val an EVA. Take an EVA report. And then take all the data from there. Take data from there. Collect data from there. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to be using that. And store all my experiments in here. Then I can hit board. And now we have 2 contracts to fulfill. So if we hit run test, I thought this would happen. So that's good, and then Yeah, contract complete. So we need to run a test on this decoupler back at the launch site. So unfortunately, I cannot decouple this yet. And hopefully I do not become a fireball in the atmosphere. Yeah, okay. I'm extending pretty darn fast, and we've broken quite a few records. And we probably made it into space with this flight. So, yay, I guess. That's not what I was intending to do, but apparently we're breaking the atmosphere. That's cool. So let's time warp a bit so we can get through this faster. So if we look at our Apple Apps, it's well above 70,000 meters. So we can easily say atmosphere broken. Hello up down there. So let's get a crew report because we can. I didn't expect to get more science, but and it looks like we'll be landing in the ocean. You know what? I feel like this is not a great re-entry trajectory. Let's warp a bit because we'll take a while. Okay. Let's warp into the atmosphere and make a quick save. Folks, you must always quick save. So hopefully we probably won't burn to death, so we might not even experience flames as we're not going fast at all. Not at all. I rarely feel, unless you're over 2,000 meters per second when re-entering Kerbal's atmosphere, I rarely feel that this is dangerous, and I just realized we're not landing back at the launch site, so we can decouple that. We don't need that anymore. Hit a SAS so we can kind of maneuver ourselves to the retrograde mark. Land distance record, cool, whatever. And I always think peak heating is around 20 to 30 kilometers, meters above the surface, so we're not getting flames. Here we go. Some minor flames, because we really need to slow down now. Otherwise, poor Val's gonna die, and that's not good, obviously, so. Slowing down quite fast, and we can deploy our parachute quite soon. Let's see. When the parachute's red, it means you can't deploy it. I'm pretty sure you know that already, but just saying. So once we get down into the ocean, Val can, yeah, don't hit that booster. Val can extract the experiments from the crew module and the thermometer, and then we can take readings from the ocean itself. So there goes the booster. It survived re-entry, which is not surprising, considering our re-entry speed was extremely low. Barely any flames, so now we can time warp to a splashdown in the ocean, which is the first one we've ever done. We're kind of far from the KSC because the rocket angled off and I forgot to activate SAS, but I'd say this is a successful flight. Sorry, I cannot talk. Okay. Before I run out of electric charge, which probably won't happen, let's take EVA report, because we're in the water, it's a new biome. Log temperature, yes. Board. We can take a crew report from here. Actually, I need to remove that. Let's review data. Okay, give me a sec. If we remove data from there, take data from there, store data in there, that, okay, like board. Now I can take a crew report from here, and take a temperature report from here. And now we've got a ton of science, and we can recover the vessel. So let's see how much science we got. Hopefully we can get the radial decouplers now. 38 science, we have a total of 51. We got 95.9% value because we were 45 kilometers away from KSC. So that looks good. We filled one contract. Actually, that's not contract. So we can quickly, I'll fulfill the other contract later because I assume you do not want to see that. So let's get, wait, let's leave, yeah. I need to unlock some stuff in the R&D facility, and once we unlock survivability, stability. That's all what we need, yes. So now we can attempt to achieve orbit without the Terrier engine, which is pretty difficult. Let's open Auks 2, which is our halfway built spaceship. So 5 fuel tanks should be enough. We have almost 3,000 meters per second of delta V in there, but that's still not enough to make it into Kerbin orbit, and we also want a bit more for deorbiting. So this will be the last flight. Attach 2 hammers. This should provide the boost we need to get into orbit. So let's attach them. They provide 800, so now we have about 100 delta V more than we actually need. And we have some parts, so we can attach nose cones and fins if we really needed them, which we don't, but they look cool, so let's stick some on. So now staging these first, then these, and this, we'll solve SRB first, decouple the SRBs, then you activate the swivel and decouple the crew module and parachute down. So we should have gotten the barometer, so you can add some barometer readings to the spacecraft. So now let's get, Jeb is already in there, he's very eager. Let's launch our orbital rocket. Hopefully this thing will get into orbit. So it's pretty small, not exactly the biggest rocket we've ever built. Well, it is the biggest rocket we ever built. So let's hit launch. So TWR of SRBs is extremely high, as you cannot throttle them at all, so we're accelerating really fast. I'm going to keep pointed this way until we detach the SRBs. This means it will be easier to detach them, so hopefully they don't like fall back and destroy this rocket. Quick saving before the decoupling. They crash into each other, but not the rocket. That's good. So now we can execute a small gravity turn. I know gravity turns are more efficient, but I feel that let's get to half throttle, actually 2/3 throttle, because we don't need to use this much. And we can fight to bring the prograde marker over here without destabilizing the rocket. Gravity turns are more efficient, but because Jeb doesn't have enough experience, we cannot follow the prograde marker yet, so I'm struggling to bring the prograde marker over here. Just do a brief check on our apoapsis height. It's definitely high enough. We still have around half our fuel. Hopefully that will be enough. If not enough, we'll have to settle for a suborbital flight. We can get some more science from space. But let's orient ourselves in the correct direction. Quick save again. And we can time warp until we exit the atmosphere. Apoapsis is at 81,000 meters, which is pretty good if I do say so myself. Let's warp some more. The closer you get to the apoapsis, the more efficient raising your periapsis will be. So I want to keep at apoapsis for as much time as possible. Lowering my nose below this line will usually result in apoapsis coming towards me, and raising above will result in apoapsis going in front of me. So I want to balance these, so the apoapsis is, I'm always near the apoapsis. You can see apoapsis is there. I'm raising my nose, then I can bring it back to here, and then bring it back up, so I can bring my apoapsis back. And keep an eye on my fuel levels, just in case I run out, which hopefully I shouldn't. All the math checks out, but yeah, I like to keep enough fuel for deorbit, but yeah, we don't have enough. Because at the end you saw there it was just not good enough. So we can revert to our last quick save, so we can try again. This video is almost 20 minutes long, so let's be careful here. It wasn't the most efficient ascent, if I do say so myself. So let's get some signs from the upper atmosphere while we're here. Take a crew report, take some mystery go readings, take a pressure reading and a... Nope, I want a thermometer. Temperature reading. Good. Right before we get into space. Now, once we do get into space, the other set... I have to get into orbit first. I can do that, right? So, keeping your nose on the horizon keeps your apoapsis in roughly the same place. So, we have about half our fuel left. Let's go. I'm sure this could be achieved more efficiently. So our apoapsis is coming up close, so let's prepare to ignite the engine. Alright, we're nearly there. How you doing, Jeb? Good? Ignite engine. So our apoapsis is falling back slightly. Let's push it forward a bit. Bring it back to the horizon line. Bring it forward a bit more. Keep an eye on the fuel levels as well. We want to make sure we don't run out, basically. You can now burn below the horizon. Keep an eye on the fuel levels. Cut throttle for a second. We don't have that much fuel left, so let's continue trying. Oh, that was not good. Yeah, that was not efficient at all. I cannot revert our flight. I'll have to say this is a fail. I cannot salvage this mission. But we collected valuable science, so even if we did not, in fact, get into Kerbal orbit, we were able to collect much needed science from the upper atmosphere and space. So I'd say that's pretty good. So let's time warp into the atmosphere. Unfortunately, we were not able to achieve orbit this time, but next time I'll have a more beefed up rocket. I need to add more fuel. I'll have a more beefed up rocket, and we can go to orbit in the next episode. But for now, I will land this pod, and there we can end the episode. So this time warp works. We're much faster now, so we have to actually be careful of aerodynamic heating, and it shouldn't be a problem. Usually, you do not need a heat shield for entering the atmosphere from Kerbal orbit because the speeds are low, but you'll see a lot of heating. Heating tends to pop up at about 50,000 meters above Kerbal's surface. So we're going to be really far away from the KSC. That can't be helped. The closer you get to orbit, the further you're going to fall from KSC. So as you can see, the mystery goo units are heating up the most, but they will probably not explode. I always love watching this, it's so cool. And you can see the atmosphere and the line of dawn and dusk. Sun setting. It's quite beautiful. So, through the worst part of the atmosphere, we can wait till we slow down enough to deploy our parachute. And once we deploy our parachute, pretty much home and dry, and we can land down in the ocean, splash down. There's some debris from our launch. It was probably the rocket debris. I don't know. But our parachute is deployed. I'd say we're pretty much home and safe. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of our career playthrough in Outer Planets mod. As you can see, there's a lot more planets. Sarnus, Erlum, Plock, and Neadion. I probably said those wrong, but yeah, it's the end of the first episode. Stay tuned for the second episode, probably later this week. This is Kraken's Vin Gaming, and I'll see you guys later.